Man, that's stiff. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So our beloved air filter company, aFe, has decided to get into the sway bar business. You guys know I'm a huge fan of the HOTCHKIS sway bars for the Q50 sedan, so you're gonna wanna watch this before you buy those aFe suckers. I've done a couple of different sway bar videos up to this point, so you guys know what they're already used for. If you are not familiar with what the sway bars do for your car and its handling abilities, check out my sway bar videos. I've said time and time again that the HOTCHKIS sway bars are some of my favorite, if not my most favorite upgrade that I've made to this Q50. It totally changed how this car handles. But should you go with these aFe sway bars? Let's get into this. So let's go over some pros and cons with these aFe sway bars. We'll start with the pros and we'll get into some of the negatives that I see. First thing I noticed right off the rip, they're a nice blue color. They'd match my calipers really well. Of course, I'm partial to a blue and black combination, so the color piqued my interest right away. Although they're underneath the car and you're never really going to see them, you know, blue sticks out to me for sure. They are $496 for the set through Z1 Motorsports, so they are right in line with the HOTCHKIS sway bars, which makes them very competitive in the market. The other thing I noticed right off the bat, aside from the blue color, is that the front sway bar is adjustable as well, which is something that the HOTCHKIS and the Still-In options do not offer. It's not like you're getting up and under the car and adjusting the settings of your sway bars all that often, but it's nice to know that if you're, you know, just driving around town or daily driving your vehicle, you can set it to one point, and if you have a track day or a road course coming up, you can make adjustments if necessary. Now, the two settings that you can choose from, one would be 1,000 pounds per inch, which is about 160% stiffer than stock is what they say. The next setting is 1,125 pounds per inch, which is 192% more stiff than stock. So a pretty dramatic change over your stock setting, which really helps stiffen up the front of this vehicle. In comparison, however, although the HOTCHKIS front sway bar only has one setting, it is 200% stiffer than stock, set at about 1,340 pounds per inch. So it's over 200 pounds per inch stiffer in the front, going with the HOTCHKIS. 1,340 pounds per inch from the HOTCHKIS front sway bar. Whew. Man, that's stiff. I've really enjoyed driving this car since installing the HOTCHKIS sway bars, and I really can't imagine a point at which you'd ever need to adjust the stiffness of the front sway bar, but having the ability, if necessary, is kind of a nice thing. So aFe has a little bit of an advantage there. Both the aFe and HOTCHKIS sway bars are 35 millimeters DOM steel in the front and 29 millimeter steel in the rear. Both have polyurethane bushings with aluminum bushing brackets and grease fittings. Now, like the HOTCHKIS sway bars, the aFe sway bars have 3 stiffness settings in the rear: 730 pounds per inch, 875 pounds per inch, and 1,040 pounds per inch. Now, that 730 would be relatively soft and as close as you can get to the factory settings, although it's much stiffer. Just in comparison, however, the HOTCHKIS sway bars are slightly less stiff in the rear at 685 pounds per inch, 810 in the middle setting, and 970 pounds per inch for the stiffest setting, which is how I run my HOTCHKIS sway bars. Now, I don't know that you would actually be able to feel a difference in the vehicle. It's only about a 50-pound difference through the range. In terms of driving, the sway bars make the biggest difference in the rear. The rear sway bars made the biggest difference in terms of handling from what I could feel. However, I think the stiffness is the most important in the front. The Q50 is a big nose-heavy sedan with a lot of twisting and torquing. So that's where you're gonna have a lot of that twist and flex toward the nose of the vehicle. And I think that is where the stiffness actually comes into play. So the HOTCHKIS being substantially more stiff up front is going to make the biggest difference in the Q50, in my opinion. So that really does lead us to the cons part of the discussion for the aFe sway bars. I'm going to say right away, it's aFe. aFe compared to HOTCHKIS. HOTCHKIS obviously is known for these types of components, these types of upgraded parts for cars in the auto sports industry. So, you know, no matter what aFe states in terms of specs, HOTCHKIS, just by the name, I think tells me all I need to know. The second point is, in my opinion, although there is adjustability in the front sway bar for the aFe brand, even the stiffest setting is still over 200 pounds per inch less than the HOTCHKIS. And again, I think the front stiffness is the most important when it comes to the Q50. And the third and final con for the aFe sway bars, I would have to say, is the fact that they say they only fit 2016 and newer Q50s, whereas the HOTCHKIS fits 2014 and newer Q50s. I don't want to add a fourth con to the aFe sway bars because it still relates to fitment overall. Like I said, they only fit the 2016 and newer Q50s, but aFe does not offer an all-wheel drive version of these sway bars either, whereas HOTCHKIS has come out recently with an all-wheel drive version, which you can find at Z1 Motorsports. So we've touched on some of the pros and cons of these aFe sway bars, and we compared them to the HOTCHKIS sway bars, and we know some of the differences here and there, but there are a couple of things that you want to take into consideration before you buy any brand of sway bar. Now, the fact that they increase the stiffness of your factory sway bars substantially, they're going to increase a little bit of strain on certain components like your sway bar end links, for example. So you may want to consider upgrading those. There are certainly just some stronger, more robust end links that you could use, and there's some that are adjustable, which allow you to adjust the preload and things of that nature. So do a little bit of research, take a look at Z1 Motorsports website, and get a little feel for what you might want to consider in terms of upgrade. Another thing is to consider is that these sway bars will have an impact on the car even if you stick with factory suspension. Definitely going to help keep the flat surface of your tires on the pavement in heavy cornering situations. But if you pair these sway bars, whether you go HOTCHKIS, Stillen, aFe, it doesn't matter. If you pair these sway bars with a good set of tires and also upgraded suspension, whether it's springs or coilovers, you are going to feel a massive difference. We have the Firestone Firehawk Indy 500s on this Q50, and we have BC Racing coilovers, as well as those HOTCHKIS sway bars. The car feels like a whole different animal. I love driving this thing in the corners, even though it's a big, heavy sedan. It feels fantastic. Now, I ran Tane S-Tech lowering springs for about 2 years on this car, and about a year of that was with these HOTCHKIS sway bars. And I gotta say, even with those springs, it felt totally different. So a simple upgrade to your tires and to your suspension combined with these sway bars, different beast, makes it a ton of fun to drive. Now, although a lot of the specifications that aFe touts with their new aFe control sway bars for the Q50 and Q60, I lean still toward the HOTCHKIS. Let me tell you why. Yes, the aFe sway bars are the same price as the HOTCHKIS set for the Q50 and Q60 at about $496, $497. And the aFe sway bar does have 3 adjustability settings in the rear, which is the same as the HOTCHKIS. And yes, it has 2 adjustability settings in the front, which is an advantage over the HOTCHKIS sway bars. It is a little bit stiffer in the rear than the HOTCHKIS. However, it's only about a 50 pound per inch difference, which I don't think you're going to be able to notice in this car. The front, however, despite having 2 adjustability settings, is still 200 pounds per inch less stiff than the HOTCHKIS, and I think that is what is required in this car, is a much stiffer front sway bar, because it is very nose heavy and very twisty. And don't forget, they say the aFe sway bars only fit the 2016 and newer Q50s, and there's no all-wheel drive version available, whereas the HOTCHKIS, on the other hand, is good for the 2014 and newer Q50s, and they do have an all-wheel drive version available at Z1 Motorsports. So despite all of the positive things that I've noted about the aFe sway bars today, I still lean toward HOTCHKIS for a number of reasons. That's my recommendation. It's all the information I can provide you with today. I hope it's enough for you to make an educated decision when you pursue sway bars for your Q50 or Q60. As always, I really appreciate you guys watching. More good things to come for this Q50, more parts and products we need to test and review, and of course, more watch before you buy videos coming up. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you would. I appreciate it very much. We'll see you in the next one.